Come on, somebody. Episode 8. Here we go. We are back. Caleb, new location. I got some Champs gear, rocking some Champs gear. It's becoming pretty obvious what Caleb's sporting each week, but it is what it is. We're thankful to have you guys back. Thanks for tuning in. It's another edition, another episode where we're talking about a lot of different things. We're not going to be talking about sports and scripture again this week because we're having a special guest on and talking about different sports segments. But Caleb and I did want you guys to know that next week we are going to be talking about a very pressing issue for sports and scripture. So you guys can be praying for us as we prepare for that for next week, and just look forward to talking about that biblically. And we'll give you guys some more info about that as the week goes on. But today we are talking about baseball. We are talking about hot takes, obviously, but we're also talking about basketball. We got a brand new basketball segment for the NBA season, for the Orlando Bubble. That's what we'll start with. It's called Backcourt. That'll just kind of be our NBA segment throughout. It'll substitute our personal segments, which we'll go back and forth with week to week. But yeah, we'll go into Backcourt, and then it's into Inside Corner, Caleb. Baseball season is back.
Yeah, Inside Corner, we have an update since our last MLB preview. Now we know for sure that it will be a 16-team playoff, expanded playoffs for the 2020 season only. So we're going to be giving our complete playoff predictions, complete division winners, who's going to make the playoffs. And then we're going into double dipping. So we've got hot takes, and we'll have a guest on for that as well. And yeah, it should be interesting.
It's going to be a lot of fun. As always, you guys know how we roll. We're always excited to do this. We're hyped to do this. You've heard all the different words we've used. Enough talk, though. It's time to talk some sports. Time to talk all things sports from a Christ-centered, Bible-saturated foundation. Let's roll. This is our NBA segment, Backcourt. We welcome you guys into it. I'm a huge basketball guy. Caleb also is a basketball guy, I guess. We're having him talk more and more basketball with the podcast, kind of getting started. And so this is a lot of fun for us because we get to add in new sports as the podcast goes on. We're seeing all these sports return. Hockey's coming back. Let's go Blues, wearing the Champs shirt. And so that's a lot of fun as well. But this is Backcourt. This is we will talk about hockey some other point. In fact, I've already talked about hockey. Go watch a previous episode. This is our NBA segment. And so this is kind of where we will give an overview or an update on the season. Today we're talking about what this actually looks like. You guys have probably heard people talk about, as sports analysts, or heard us talk about this Orlando bubble. What exactly does that mean? Well, I'm going to give a little bit of an overview of the season, what the new playoff format looks like, and then we'll give our sleeper team, which is a team that we don't think is there right now, but could surprise a lot of people come playoff time. And then obviously our champs, which who knows, it could have changed within the past 2 episodes since Caleb and I gave our playoff predictions a little bit. So this is kind of what the NBA looks like now. Caleb, everyone watching and listening, this is what we're in. Every NBA player who is still currently playing, or one of these 22 teams, there are 22 teams that have gone to Orlando. And they're actually at a Walt Disney World resort, of all places. It's not even like somewhere in Florida. They're actually like within the same area as Walt Disney World. And so this is the Orlando bubble. You have to think what these guys are doing in the Orlando bubble. You think about like going back to college roommate kind of status, where they're away from their families, or away from everything. Just kind of, you let your mind wander with that of what all these grown men or all these rookies are doing in a bubble environment. But this is an interesting format because, as I said, everybody's away from everything, away from the community, so that they don't get exposed to the coronavirus. And it's worked. They just did a coronavirus test recently. 343 people were tested. 343 people came back negative for the coronavirus. So this Orlando bubble is working. But what does it actually look like? How do we actually look at this as basketball fans, as sports fans, and be like, this is going to be okay and not like, oh boy, here we go. The virus is affecting everything. Here's what's going on. 22 teams. 22 teams. You have 13 from the West, 9 from the East. And the reason for that being, as Caleb and I have talked about many times, not the last time we'll talk about it, the Western Conference, far better than the Eastern Conference. But I digress. The 22 teams will be playing 8 regular season games. And I say that, I put that in air quotes and say that in quotes because they're regular season games, but they're also technically called seeding games. Seeding games meaning these games are going to determine what seed they're going to get in the playoffs. And that actually started yesterday as you guys were watching this. It started on July 30th, and that's going to go for 8 games before the playoffs start. So now here's how this will work from here. You have 22 teams playing 8 games. And so it means 8 teams are away. The Warriors are going back to rebuild, getting ready to be the NBA champs the next season. We're going to be fine. But all these other teams are just resting at home. You have 22 teams that are here. After those 8 games, after the seeding process is complete, there will be a cumulative record that is given to the teams with a regular season and the seeding games. Okay, so you think about 65 games they played plus the 8 games that they played in this Orlando bubble. Here is the scenario that is going to throw everybody for a loop, and I'll try to explain it the best that I can. The first 7 seeds is normal, Caleb. It's as normal as it can get. And so it's like, okay, first, second, third, fourth. I mean, we know how to count. Yeah. We're grown adults. When it comes to the 8th seed, you better know how to do your math because otherwise you're going to be screwed. Here's what the 8th seed scenario is. If the team who is currently in 8th, and I'm going to say a lot of things where I'm going to say the same words like 20 times. Hang with me, everybody. If the 8th seed team is leading by more than 4 games against the I'm already tongue-tied. In front of the 9th seeded team. So the 8th seeded team is 4 games, more than 4 games above the 9th seeded team. They will immediately advance to the playoffs. Okay? Everybody with me so far? So the 8th seed immediately goes to the playoffs if they're ahead by more than 4 games. If it's 4 games or less, so not like 3, 2, or 1, 4 games or less, they will play a best of 2 play-in tournament. Okay, so here's how this works. Keep in mind, I said it's Orlando bubble. There's no home court advantage. Everyone's in the same place. Everyone's playing the same place. There are no fans. Everything is the same. It's a best of 2 play-in tournament. The 9th seed team has to win both games. Okay, so they have to go 2-0 against the 8th place team in order to take the 8th place team's spot to go into the playoffs. If they lose one of those games, the 8th seed team goes to the playoffs. Those are the 2 scenarios for the 8th seeded team. So it's very tough, but that is a scenario that we've been placed in. Personally, I've already given my thoughts on why there's actually 22 teams in the Orlando bubble. I don't think there should be that many. It is what it is. But when it all comes down to it, you're going to have 14 teams that are all set and ready to go for the playoffs. And you're going to have up to 4 teams, possibly, playing an extra 4 games or extra 2 games each to get into the playoffs. So you think about all the time it's gone off, all these guys were trying to get back into shape, and then playing 10 games possibly for some of these teams before going into another 20 to 30 games to the playoffs. Yeah. Okay, so this is an insane thing. But again, they're all together. They have nothing else to do but play basketball. They're getting paid to do this. I mean, this is why they're professional athletes. We're going to be able to see why LeBron James, James Harden, Giannis, why all these guys are professional athletes because they're away from their families, away from everything else, and they're trying to make the most of this Orlando bubble and whatever that looks like. But that's kind of the lowdown of what the playoff bubble will look like. And how it translates into next year, I don't think it'll really affect anything next year. Who knows? But the 8th seed stuff could get crazy if you're, a fan of one of those teams. I'm just thankful I just get to sit back and watch it. But Caleb, any thoughts on that? The craziness of all that?
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I actually didn't know that about the 8th and 9th seed, how that works. So that's interesting. I noticed that there's a lot more West teams, kind of like you said. The West has been better. Yep. There's a lot more West teams that are going. Only the Timberwolves and Warriors from the West aren't going, whereas only the top 9 teams are going in the East. So it's interesting. It looks like the Wizards are already 5.5 back from the Magic. So they'd have to gain a little bit of ground to do that seeding
Yep.
playoff.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, that's really interesting. It looks like there's definitely the West is going to be, in terms of the regular season, a lot more interesting because you've got 5 or 6 teams battling for that number 8 seed or the 8-9 seed.
Yeah, well, a couple more notes on that is that they've thrown around as an NBA committee or as executives of the NBA this idea of seeding the playoffs not according to conference, where it's
is that
just
what they're
16
doing?
teams. They're not doing this for the bubble, but they've thrown around this idea of doing this because the East is weaker and all certain stuff. I don't see it happening. I don't want it to happen for this main reason. What makes the Eastern Conference is the fact that you have all these literal grit and grind teams that aren't flashy at all that somehow make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Whereas if they do a seeding of 1 through 16, there's going to be a lot of Eastern Conference teams that are not going to be given credit at all that they're actually given a chance to do as part of the Eastern Conference. So that's just kind of a note on that.
Yeah, and there's the whole, the NBA landscape's always changing. Like there could be a time coming soon where the East really, So that makes
but it gives an opportunity. And then the last note I'll make before we get to our sleeper team, NBA champ, stuff like that, there's also a quarantine rule. And here's a quarantine rule, and it's happened to a couple players already. Zion Williamson had to leave for a family emergency. So he had to go home for something. I don't know what it was. And he had to quarantine for 4 days. Okay? Russell Westbrook was actually gone because he had tested positive for the coronavirus. When he showed up to the Orlando bubble, he had to have 2 negative tests for COVID. Okay, so he had to go. Lou Williams, which is the funniest one yet, goes to Atlanta to go to a restaurant. To go to a restaurant that has a dish named after him. Okay, now there was things being said that he was actually going to visit a family friend who just passed away or a close friend who just passed away, and he still went to the restaurant after that. He could have gone to the funeral, come back, everything would have been fine. But no, he went all the way to Atlanta to go to this funeral, to go to see this friend, which is a sweet gesture to do. But then went to this restaurant just because it's his restaurant, apparently. He's having to quarantine for 10 days. 10 days. That means he's going to miss the first 2 games. The first 2 games of this 8 regular seeding games. He's on the Los Angeles Clippers, who are second in the West right now. You think you're going to catch the Lakers if one of your best players, the future or the previous 6th man of the year, is out? That doesn't make any sense. And here's how much that doesn't make any sense. Alex Caruso, who I've already just gone off on in a previous episode about how much I love this dude. Alex Caruso missed his sister's wedding to stay in the Orlando bubble and continue playing for the Lakers. That's how important this is. I understand things happen, family emergencies, where we got to go. But Alex Caruso, who's an important player for the Lakers, if he had left, he would have had to quarantine, stayed because he recognizes this is more important right now in terms of the uniqueness of the season. So there's different reactions to that and all this different stuff. But that's the last point I'll make of the quarantine rule is there's a max of 10 days, a minimum of 4 days. And the result could be catastrophic, especially for the Clippers, who are without Lou Williams now for the first 2 games, already trailing the Lakers by 3 games in the Western Conference. So,
one thing I want to say with these Orlando bubble courts they have, no fans or anything, they better have some sick camera angles.
Oh, they do. Yeah,
you've got some real estate to work with. I know they had the sliding thing, and
they have the sliding thing. They have a floor camera as well, which looks kind of cool. So it'll be interesting. I'm definitely wanting to tune in to some of it. But I mean, I don't got a team in the race. I don't got a horse in the race. I do want to watch the playoffs at some point, but the eight regular season games, I couldn't really care less about. But enough about that. Let's talk about some sleepers, some teams that could shock some people. I'm going to give a different one than a hot take I gave. I'm not going to use the Dallas Mavericks again. I've already spoken my piece on them. Haven't changed, only grown in my opinion about that. Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic, they're coming. They're coming. But I digress again. Caleb, give me a sleeper. I'm digressing a lot because there's a lot more that I can say, but I will save it for now. Caleb, give me a sleeper team heading into these next 8 games into the playoffs.
Yeah, well, my sleeper team they have a little bit of respect. I think coming into the season, they weren't expected to. They were expected to be all right, but they exceeded that, and now they are fourth in the Eastern Conference. The Miami Heat are my sleeper team. I think that's a team where, yes, okay, they are fourth in their conference, so there's going to be some respect with them automatically. But I think that they could be a team that could really show up and scare some people. So one important statistic is that they lead the NBA in three-point percentage. At 38.3, they can shoot the three ball, and especially in the playoffs, that can be really big. You have guys that can shoot, that really can get on hot streaks. That's tough in the playoffs. But they have a very deep team. Jimmy Butler is their top scorer. But they've got a number of guys. They have 8 players that have over 10 points a game. So they kind of spread the ball out really well. But Tyler Hero, Derek Jones, Derek Jones Jr., some of those really young guys, athletic. Speaking of Derek Jones, I mean they've got a young team, but they've got some veterans in there too. Like actually Andre Iguodala's on the team.
So my guy. Love Iggy.
Yeah, right. Dion Waiters, Dragic. Is that how you say that?
Yep, Goran Dragic. Yep.
Yeah. So they've just got a number of young players that it's maybe their second or third year, but have just kind of stepped up, like Adebayo, or guys have really just kind of stepped into their role. Yeah. So I don't know. They're I think they could surprise people. They're on people's radar, but who knows? Maybe they could shock the world and give the Lakers a run for their money. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know about that. I think for me at least, the jury is still out on Jimmy Butler. I am still on the fence with him. I don't know what I would. Yeah, I don't trust him yet. I don't trust him to kind of be that guy on a team, to be that leader on a team. I mean, he left he left cold turkey from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Did seem to be a good player for the 76ers, and all of a sudden becomes the face of the Miami Heat, where we don't really know. They're kind of a wild card, and I think that's why it's a good sleeper pick, because they're kind of a wild card. Who knows what'll happen? Right. But I think Jimmy Butler has to become more of a leader instead of this just number one scoring option or things like that. You have to do more than just that. But the jury's still out on him for me.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I've never liked him as a player. Yeah. And I'm kind of the same way. If they were to make a run, there would have to be some of these young guys maybe, but just some heroes to come out of nowhere. Plus, it's a bubble. There's no fans. Who knows what's going to happen? So that kind of throws another wrinkle into everything. Yeah. Can you imagine watching NBA Finals with no fans? Bizarre.
Ooh, that's going to be an experience, and we're going to have to bear it together as sports fans. It'll be interesting. They do have some cool crowd noise that they're kind of pumping in. I've seen they've kind of put some screens up of actual fans.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That was pretty cool. So they're doing all that they can, but yeah, you mentioned the rolling camera. I saw a video where it almost actually knocked out Luka Doncic as he's going out of bounds. So it's there's all these unique things that players are having to work their way around. But anyways,
well, you think too, one other point before you go into it, sorry, is a lot of times maybe with having a younger team or some young guys that you feature on your team a lot can be maybe have more jitters when you're in the finals. But with no fans, that might just kind of even the playing field a little bit with those younger guys. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's an aspect. Maybe not. But
no, that's true. I think there's definitely jitters when you're. I mean, I played basketball 2 years in college and played all of high school. Obviously, there's definitely jitters when you're the better team. There's not a lot of people at the games. I hated those games because you would show up and you'd be like, well, we had to do this on our own, and that's kind of what they're having to look at. It's we have to do this on our own. It's us against the world. That's how all 22 teams are looking at it, I think. Yeah, it's us against the world because there's nobody there, Yeah. So, no, that's a good thing. I like the Miami Heat. Again, not a big fan of Jimmy Butler, but I like their young talent, like their chances that they can get rolling if Jimmy Butler can kind of step into a leadership role more, but we'll have to see. My sleeper team, kind of another wild card, comes from the Western Conference, so it's kind of perfect. Yours from the East, mine's from the West. Okay. Another team that people were kind of on the fence about at the beginning of the year, didn't really know how they were going to step into their next stage of the season, and that's the Memphis Grizzlies. I think the Memphis Grizzlies could make some serious noise. John Morant, for one. What else can we say about this guy? He is a stud among studs.
Yeah.
He's going to take the Rookie of the Year from Zion Williamson, I think. He's an incredible talent. Incredible floor leader. I think we forget about that, like his athleticism and stuff and his shooting and all these different things. He's like their point guard. Like he leads the charge in that way. Jonas Valanciunas is their big guy, which I think is a good tandem for them. And so like they have, like you said, all these role players as well. Like not a lot of well-known guys outside of John Morant, but just like solid play, solid team that they could seriously make some noise. They're in the Western Conference, so they're going to have to play like a lot better than teams that Miami Heat will have to play against because the West is the best. I mean, the West is some of the best teams in the league. So it'll be interesting, but I think Ja's got a chance to do something crazy. I mentioned Luka a little bit already. I think Luka Doncic is definitely up there as someone who could step into a superstar role and lead his team. Like I think he will pass the Clippers in the 2-7 matchup. But the Grizzlies, on the other hand, John Morant, it could go one of two ways, especially with no fans, like you said. Either he's going to fold because there's nobody there, or he's going to step in and be like, everybody watching on a national audience, this is who I am, and I'm stepping into this stage. So I think the Grizzlies could definitely make some noise as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. John Morant, man, he's just an exciting player. Hey, who do you think, this kind of goes a little bit off topic, who do you think has a higher ceiling, Morant or Doncic?
Oh, Doncic. Doncic for sure. Easy. That's an easy choice. I think, Doncic already has so much else going for him. I mean, he played against professional athletes as a 17-year-old. Thinking about when he played in European, like he was playing grown men, like grown athletes, and just doing work on them. And so then it was like, well, what is he gonna do? And he did the same thing, if not better, when he went to the NBA. And it was like, this guy, like, what in the world?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So, yeah, but Ja is right there too. I think Ja within the next 5 years, don't call me crazy. The next 5 years, Ja could be top 10, even top 5 player in the league. I mean, he's just that good, So, all right, well, let's kind of wrap up this segment. Is your NBA champ changed at all for the bubble?
It was funny. I actually don't remember what I said. I remember who my number one team was.
Yeah,
I gave the Bucks as my number one team.
You had the Bucks, and I had the Lakers.
Yeah. Going into the season, the Bucks are into the bubble. The Bucks are my number one team. My NBA champ is the LA Lakers.
Okay, we're on the same page.
So it'll probably be the same things. But the biggest reason is, one, I can't go against LeBron James right now. And two, it's going to come down to how Giannis shows up, because he's kind of been a little bit lackluster in the playoffs. The Bucks team is pretty crazy, and I still do think going into the bubble they are the number one team as a whole. But just in terms of playoffs, like if they're to face in the finals, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, I couldn't go against that. I don't have that much faith in Giannis and those guys over them. So
yeah, that's true. Here's the other thing too that like I haven't taken into account until recently in watching highlights. If Dwight Howard plays like at least a shell of himself when he was back with the Magic or something, it's over. It's over, dude. Like if Dwight Howard steps up in any way, Giannis has no chance. Chris Middleton has no chance. Their bigs have no chance. Like Dwight Howard was a beast back then. If he even plays close to that, that's it. Like the Lakers are going to sweep, or the Lakers will win in 5 or something.
So I got dog toy noise in the background.
Oh my gosh, I know. You hate those things. My goodness. No, it's okay.
I hate them.
He's probably upset about the bubble like we are, but.
Yeah, I think the X factor for the Lakers too. Well, I mean, it is their stars. It is those guys. But two, it'll just be interesting to see how their role players step in, because their team around their stars isn't as good as the Bucks, I'd say, around their outside of the kind of the big two. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys kind of if they step up or shrink back. So
Alex Russo, the headband. We'll have to see what he does. He's a stud, man. Oh, I love that guy. That's so great. But we're gonna move on. Good discussion. Good first edition of Backcourt. We'll be continuing to do this as the bubble continues to get going. But now it's time for another special guest, another edition of Inside Corner coming up next.
Welcome to Inside Corner. This is our second installment of Inside Corner, our baseball segment, and we're going to be going back to MLB today and talking about, as we mentioned earlier, there's a new playoff format just for 2020, and we kind of touched on.
Hold on, hold on, real quick, Caleb. Baseball's back. There's 3 or 4 games in the books. I mean, you didn't even mention that. Come on now.
Baseball's
we're
back,
this.
and I'm wearing a Padres jersey every single week until the season's over. I'm just going to say that now. But we're excited because we've got a special guest for this segment. This is an old friend of mine. I'll let him introduce himself. Special guest, where are you at?
There he is.
What's up, bro?
What's good?
This is an old friend of mine. Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself. We're excited to have you on.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see. I am from San Diego, hence the Padres. I know Caleb from growing up in church. His dad was our pastor, and we were both the same age. We loved baseball. So pretty much that was an automatic bond. And then AJ I met through church camp.
Camp Region, baby.
Camp Region. I remember you balled out.
Yes, sir. That was fun.
Yeah. So and yeah, I go to Baylor University. I'm gonna be a senior. So
sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Man. Yeah. Matt and I, we definitely have bonded young over the Padres, and we both played baseball, so we've always had that common love, and we like to when we're catching up again, just throwing out old names we remember from old Padres.
Aaron Harang. If you know Aaron Harang, text me.
Everyone's favorite. We'll just text each other a name out of the blue. Like, hey, do you remember this guy?
2005 MLB player that no one remembers, but they're a millionaire still.
Yeah, like Tommy Medica. Anyways, we're going to totally get derailed. But let's get right into this. We're excited to have Matt on. But we're going to give – so just as a reminder and overview, there's going to be 16 playoff teams, which I think – actually, before we get into that, I just want to hear Matt's thoughts a little bit. Do you like expanded playoffs? Kind of what are your thoughts?
For this season, I do. But I think it's going to be like a little bit of like a high school baseball like tournament in the way of like one pitcher, one star hitter for the Yankees gets hurt. I think it's going to really just end their run.
Yeah.
Whereas in a regular season, they would have time to come back. There's like that midseason lull, but this time like every game like matters, and you need all your guys. I mean, like Verlander just got hurt, so it's like we're gonna see what's gonna happen to the Astros. I think there's gonna be some underdogs basically.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Astros.
Yeah. I think that's true. It
always a hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can get into what happened to the Astros the other night.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Kelly. Yeah. Anyways, but let's get right into our predictions then. Oh wait, no. So I got to explain. So it's going to be the top 2 teams in every division are going to the playoffs, as well as 2 wildcard teams. So 2 third-place teams are going. So that's more than half the teams in the league, 16 of 30. Yeah. Let's start with AL though. AJ, what you got for us in the American League?
You know, like this is exciting because we get to now bring some other teams into the fold, kind of welcome them into the playoff family. So this is interesting. Obviously, I gotta talk about the A's a little bit. They're getting started with a great season, so they're definitely up there. Unfortunately, they're not going to beat out the Astros for the AL West, regardless of how many players are still on the team or apparently still conscious by the time the season ends. The Astros are going to win the AL West somehow, some way. But the A's will be in second place, I truly believe. And I'm going to wait because I think there's a third-place team from the AL West that is going to be one of those wild card teams. Think about the AL East. I got the same division winners, so I'll just kind of skip past that. Still have the Twins, still have the Yankees. But then when you look at the AL East, it's tough because I want to go with the Rays because of the –
What do you mean? No, this is not tough. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Hold on now. Hear me out. I want to go with the Rays. I do because of their pitching staff. I mean, that their pitching staff enough should get them in. But I'll be honest, Caleb. I'll be honest that I think, speaking of sleeper teams, just talking about the NBA, the Toronto Blue Jays could somehow, some way make some noise into second place in the AL East. I'm just saying. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, I mean, those are two young studs who have enough talent surrounding them. I don't know. I'm not saying the Blue Jays are going to do that, but I think the Rays will get second place in the AL East. But it's not as easy as we think. I think we put down the Toronto Blue Jays a little too much. And then the Boston Red Sox, stop it. Second place in the AL Central, I'm going to go Chicago White Sox. I mean, I had them in the wild card when we gave playoff predictions last week. I still got them as second place. They're not beating out the Twins. What are you shaking your head for? What is going on over there?
White Sox over Cleveland?
Yes, dude.
Oh.
White Sox over Cleveland. They started 1-4 because they played the Twins.
All right.
I mean, come on now.
Dude, I don't
Tim
care about the
Anderson,
1-4.
Luis
but-
Robert. What?
All right. Yeah, no, go ahead.
But then, then the two wild card teams I would have would be. Oh, this is so tough. Indians and Angels. I would have Indians and Angels as wild card teams. So, but
Interesting.
I don't know,
Angels.
Caleb. I need you to go next. I feel like because I was getting a lot of flack for some of the things I was saying there.
Yeah, sorry. I probably should have let you finish and not interrupted
Good
you.
grief.
But...
Shaking his head, face palming himself. What's going on over there? Where are you
Okay.
at with these AL teams?
Yeah, well, we have the same division winners. I gave them last week: Houston, the Astros, the Twins, and the Yankees. Second place in the AL East is 100% going to be the Rays. There's not an AL East team close to the Rays. Sorry,
Okay.
I mean the Blue Jays might make some noise in terms of the wild card possibly, but they're not going to challenge the Rays. I think the Rays are just too good.
Should we put that on record on the podcast or no?
Yeah, they're not going to challenge. Yeah,
Okay.
It's on record. The Blue Jays are not going to challenge the Rays.
I like this.
you
this.
look at-
All right. We're not even double dipping yet, and Caleb's already speaking with certainty.
That's 100%. Dude, Tyler Glasnow's back, and you watch his start, and he's just – he
he's
struck out like
crazy.
9 in 4.5 innings.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even have him almost all of last year.
I never said they were bad. I said their pitching staff was great.
I know, but just to the fact that the Rays won 96 games last year, the Blue Jays lost 95. So I just think I know the teams aren't exactly the same, but there would have to be such a dramatic change for them to challenge. I don't think it's going to
Maybe even a 60-game stretch.
The Rays are like the Moneyball Athletics.
They're like
What's their payroll again? It's like the lowest in.
it's been the
compared
lowest
to the
for-
Yankees.
I know the Rays are one of those teams, like they have no fans and no money, and somehow they're in the playoffs every
They're thinking
year.
about going up to Montreal. They're thinking about taking them up to Montreal. No
That's
fans,
true.
and they're winning 96 games. But,
Yeah, so they're definitely, who knows? Maybe they'd even challenge the Yankees. Is
Oh
that?
my gosh. Okay.
Second place in the AL Central is going to be Cleveland. Chicago has a better chance of challenging Cleveland than the Blue Jays do of Tampa Bay, but I mean it's no. Their rotation is just too good, and they've got bats to back it up. So I know the White Sox have bats for sure, but Shane Bieber, Mike Clevenger, like that's a killer. That's one of the top 1-2s in baseball, honestly. I know Mike Clevenger probably. No, it's probably.
Shane
I have to.
Bieber is
baseball?
legit.
No,
Okay.
well, would you agree, Matt? That's probably a top.
Yeah.
That's
His-
probably
his-
top 5 1-2.
Shane Bieber's. I think he was opening day. He went out. He went off.
And
Who
I
they-
think Mike Clevenger is going to be a Cy Young
They
candidate.
played the
Clevenger's-
Royals, y'all. Okay. All right. Keep going.
Well, we'll watch this when it happens. Okay. So, anyways, then for my wild card. Oh no, West. I got Oakland. And
Thank you. Okay.
so who knows? Maybe they'd give Houston a run because Houston's kind of. Who knows what'll happen there? But I've got Houston second. For my wild card, coming in with the White Sox and the Angels. Those are my 2 wild card teams. So I think we have all the same playoff teams total.
Yep, we do. Yeah, we have this exact same actually.
So like you said, White Sox have bats. They're 1 through 9. Like their 8-9 hitters are going to be really solid.
Oh yeah.
Angels, I'm a little concerned. Ohtani came in for his first start, right? His fastball was sitting like 93, 94, and he didn't get an out and gave up 5 runs. That's
Ooh.
kind of scary. And a lot of me thinking them making a run is based on like him showing up, but especially after Tommy John, if you're not, I don't know.
I don't feel like Otani has to show up though. Like he's got to pitch to some extent, but I'm not thinking like he's got to be this ace for the Angels to be good. You know?
Well, not necessarily the ace, but he has to be. I would say a solid. Because their downfall has always been their pitching, and so they do have Rendon. But anyways,
they have Rendon now. Rendon's big. I mean, like you say, they don't have pitching, but
yeah. Matt, what you got? What you got over there for your?
All right.
For your AL?
I got AL East. Mine's a little different in the sense that I don't have Yankees first. Right now I have the Rays first, actually. I'm really banking this off of, and this is almost like I'm just throwing out kind of a risky bet, but I'm banking this off of the 60-game season and possible injuries, and that's why.
Which the Yankees always have. That is true.
Yeah, the Yankees always have injuries. So that's why I have Rays.
He's banking on injuries? Okay.
Yankees second. And now AL Central, I have Indians at the top, then the Twins.
What are you doing?
Caleb, you had the same thing, right?
No, well, I had it reversed.
Oh, you had it reversed? Okay.
I have the Cleveland.
I have the Indians up top.
AJ, you need to respect the Rays and the Indians' pitching rotations are nasty.
They are. And the Rays can hit too. They're not, they can hit.
No, that's true.
And the AL West, I have, and this is basically because I don't like the Astros, but I have the Athletics getting first place, and I have the Angels actually coming up in second. That's just a random.
Okay, hold on. No, hold on. Hold on. No.
Wait,
I'm not letting you get away with this. No. I'm not letting you get away with this. That was 100. Speaking with certainty, that was 150%. 150%. Just because you hate the Astros. I'm just saying it right now. There was no facts behind that. There was no statistics behind that. That was just because you hate the Astros.
That is just because I hate the Astros. But I'm banking on, with the 60-game season, that something bad happens to the Astros. They have low morale. They're getting pegged. Someone gets injured.
Are you saying someone's going to get knocked unconscious? It's like, what are you saying here?
Almost happened last night. A's are looking good. I like the A's. Definitely
love them Athletics.
Like you mentioned, Verlander's already gone. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so for real, I think the Angels are probably going to be the wild card team. That's what I have. But
so you like seriously think the Astros aren't going to make it?
No, I think they're going to make it, but I think they're going to. I'm hoping they don't get first place. Basically, I'm hoping they land second or wild card. But the probability of that's likely.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and then
wait. So who's your other wild card team?
My other wild card team is the White Sox.
Okay, there we go. I like. Wait, whoa! You have Twins second in AL Central.
I have the Twins second in the AL Central.
Okay. I didn't hear him say that, so I was
I went. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I was like, the Tigers going like 50-2 the rest of the way or something.
My AL West is definitely the more controversial one, but that's based on it's very biased.
There was no facts behind that. That was
it could happen.
My gosh. That was so opinionated. Okay. All right, NL. Here's what I got. Here we go.
Hey, real quick. I just want to say this, AJ. This is not my hot take.
Oh boy.
But
are you already hinting at something?
Just to put it, and I kind of said it, but just to put it on the record now, Cleveland's 1-2 is going to be insane. And I'm thinking like by the end of the year, statistically, like a top 3 type of 1-2 starting punch in baseball. So I'm just saying, watch out for Cleveland.
Okay.
Up there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Put it on the record. The Blue Jays have no chance, and the Indians 1-2. We're putting both those on the record. All right. Here we go. All right.
The Blue Jays are playing in Buffalo.
For the NL, I still have the same division winners. So NL West,
after 5 games.
yeah, exactly right. Yeah, still Dodgers, unfortunately. NL West, NL Central still got the Cardinals. We're off to a little shaky of a start, but I'm not worried at all. Cubs 4-1. That's not going to last. And then the NL East, I still have the Braves. So I still have the same division winners, same there. But this is where it gets fun because you get to add in teams now. The second place team in the Central is going to be the Brewers because I had them as one of my wild card teams. The NL West, my second place team is actually going to be the Padres. I've Padres coming in second in NL West. I love your guys' team so far. Watched some highlights already. Like nothing but respect for how you guys are going so far. So Brewers, Padres, and the NL East, it's like Washington, obviously, I would say. But the Phillies could make some noise. The Mets could make some noise. Marlins aren't going to. If the Mets
they're not going to play at all.
Yeah, exactly. If the Mets,
they can just have 29
Marlins
teams
even play, but the Mets could make some noise. Their bats have to get going though. I mean, they have the pitch rotation to do it. But good grief, can Jacob deGrom get some help his entire career at all? So I still have the Nationals in my second team, and then for my wild card teams, I really don't want to. Okay, the Cubs are going to be one of the wild card teams. Ugh, I hate to say that. And then the other wild card team, I'm gonna put the Phillies for now. I don't see the Rockies or the Giants doing anything. And obviously, I don't see I've never been sold in Arizona. I've never been those D-backs, look out.
Weird. I was just gonna say that after watching them play the Padres, I was like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
They're the pitching. They got Bumgarner. It's like,
but Bumgarner's not even that good.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Arizona's weird.
Yeah, so I think the Phillies are going to take a step forward. They're stepping in stride. I mean, Rhys Hoskins and Bryce Harper, that's just a deadly duo.
You don't think the Nationals are going to –
Nationals are second.
Okay, you have the
Nationals second, at least, yeah. That's what I would have for right now because I don't see anybody else really doing anything. So that's what I would add in. Cubs, barely just because, I think they'll do well enough. But
wow. Yeah, so – for me, I've got same division winners as well. Braves, Cardinals, Dodgers. I think that's somewhat straightforward. In the East, my second place team is the Nationals. And so, I think, they're pitching. Obviously, Strasburg's out, right? But, so there's
I think so.
A lot of not long term, but just for a little while. There's, again, injuries could really throw wrinkles in this stuff, in these predictions. But my NL Central team is a team I'm surprised you left out of your playoffs completely, and that is the Reds are going to come in second.
Stop it! You're nuts,
yes.
Dude. They're at least 2 years out. At least 2 years out? Yes, dude. No, stop it.
Even with the 60-game season.
Dude.
Stop it, dude. Stop it.
Suarez hit 50 home runs. They've got Joey Votto. They've got Freddie Galvis. They picked up
dude.
How do you say it? Castellanos.
They still have Aristides. What's his name?
The guy who hit 11 homers in 11 games or something.
I think they have him. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so they got Castellanos and Mike Moustakas, huge pickups. And listen, Sonny Gray, Trevor Bauer, and Luis Castillo. So it's not that they don't have pitching either. I know. Look, they're not going to win their division.
They're playing the NL Central, dude.
What?
They're playing the NL Central. Outside the Pirates, they're going to get waxed.
They're up 9-0 on the Cubs right now. I just want to throw that out there.
Okay. Oh, yeah, one game. They're 1-4, Caleb, and they're up 9-0 on the Cubs. Stop the press.
No, dude, watch. Okay, put number 3. Put it on the record.
Okay,
Cincinnati.
We're marking everything down. Do it. Go ahead.
The Chicago Cubs are
out. Mark this down. The Reds are still 2 years out from making the playoffs.
2 years out. They're not going to have Joey Votto in 2 years. Or, 2 years is –
oh, shucks. I'm so sorry for them. I always feel bad for the Reds as a Cardinals fan.
The Cubs are the 4th best team in the NL.
Huh?
Cubs are the 4th best team in the NL. Behind
the 4th best team in the NL?
The Reds. Behind the Cardinals, the Reds, and the Brewers. Cubs are 4th.
And the NL Central, you mean?
Sorry. You're right. NL Central, my bad. In the Central.
What did you drink today that just kind of came out? What in the world?
Yeah,
okay.
So Reds are getting second. In the NL West, San Diego. Let's go. We've got a great start to the season. I'm liking people we're bashing on our starting pitching. I do think that it's going to step up. Of course, we've only played the D-backs so far, and so there's not been a whole lot of tests, but our starting pitching was lights out. We've got a top 2 bullpen, if not the best bullpen in the league after injuries, maybe second best, but AJ.
Stop! Not in the league. Stop that. That's not in the league.
Okay,
MLB rated us number 2 as well.
Hold on. Kirby Yates is one of the best closers in the league. That does not mean your bullpen is one of the best in the league.
No, but it is.
Oh.
You ready for
who do
these
you have
names?
besides Kirby Yates? Who do you have besides Kirby Yates?
Drew Pomeranz, Pagan, Munoz, Castillo, 2 guys that are injured. Look it up. Look up. ESPN ranked us as the second best bullpen in the league.
A lot of our guys are kind of like in the shadows. You know, the 6th to 8th inning. Everyone besides Kirby Yates, pretty much.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the NL West, probably then you know about our relievers,
right.
But
so it's probably just
top 2.
But we got Pagan from the Rays is one of their better relievers, and
he's decent. He's good.
He's good, yeah.
And Pomeranz, who was okay as a starter, but then he got transitioned to a reliever, and he was lights out for Milwaukee, and he's been lights out for us. So it's deep, though. It's a deep bullpen. But anyways, so I'll just say top 3 for your sake. A top 3 bullpen in the league. And then our hitting approach has been different. We're getting on base, so we'll see if that continues. But I'm excited for this season. We're going to the playoffs. My wild cards are the Brewers, 3rd place in the Central, and I've got the Mets in the East. They're going to be my wild card.
You don't have the Cubs?
Nope, Cubs aren't going to make it.
I was tempted to do that, so thank you for saving me on that end. But
Caleb, so for NL Central, you have the Reds coming in 2nd place?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, wow is right.
No,
the
I was thinking
Cincinnati Reds.
They might slide into the wild card because the Cubs.
That?
I don't know. They might slide into the wild card with between the Cubs. I think.
Yeah, I think I just believe in the Reds this year, and I know I don't often believe in teams where they get I don't believe in the White Sox fully.
I don't believe in the Cubs.
What? You believe in the Reds more than the White Sox?
Probably, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is stupid, dude. That's just straight up stupid.
Hey,
what?
Listen. The White Sox have a better lineup, but not by a lot. And the Reds have better starting pitching for sure.
Oh my goodness, I love that you put an NL Central team on this too. The fact you're talking about the Reds more than anybody else, that gets me even more hyped up.
Partly too is I don't believe fully in the Brewers. Like I would put the Brewers above them, but I don't know. I mean, Yelich looks lost right now. I know we're only 5 games in, but he looked lost in spring training. He's 1 for 22 this season, and their pitching. I don't know. I'm not confident. So we'll see. But AJ's not liking me today.
Oh, the Reds. Cincinnati. Are you kidding me? Matt, save this. I don't even trust your judgment anymore, but go ahead and do it.
After my Astros thing?
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. This one is there's no bias in this. Okay. This is NL West Dodgers. No, yeah.
Okay,
hey.
You're the Padres with
bias.
the NL West. You're leaving right now.
NL West Dodgers first. NL Central Cardinals. NL East Braves. It's very good. 2nd place NL West Padres.
Yep.
And we all agreed on that, I think. NL Central. Yep. 2nd place I have Brewers. Like I say, I don't believe in the Cubs. I don't know. And then in 2nd place for the East, I have the Nats.
Okay.
And for my wild cards, I have the Cubs for the Central, and then the Mets sliding in for the East.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So we're similar on that.
We're similar on that, except did you throw the Mets in there?
I did, yeah.
You did? Okay, yeah.
The Mets
and honestly,
I would have the Phillies instead of the Mets. Is the only difference.
Yeah, they could be. I mean, they just lost 2 games to the Marlins, who probably had COVID at the time.
Exactly, yeah. Everyone had COVID during that game, I think.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really believe in the Phillies either. You kind of like the Cubs.
I don't either.
It's they should be.
It's tough to say. I don't know. Here's hoping. Just throw out a fishing line or something. I don't know.
It's been interesting to see a number of pitchers seem like their velocities dropped off. Like Charlie Morton, Aaron Nola, both of those guys. I know just one start in, but were not, and Ohtani are not hitting numbers they usually do on their fastball. I just kind of noticed that.
Even Yates was hitting like 92, and I'm like, you're a closer. The
Yeah,
honestly,
usually
the
he
game
usually
that
sits like 94.
Yeah, but he usually like hitting 96, and he was just hitting like 92 consistently, and he gave up the game for us. But yeah,
luckily his splitter is nasty.
Yeah, that's true.
Real quick before we move on, what are you guys' thoughts on the pandemic? How do you guys think it's going to affect the season with Marlins, Yankees, Phillies having to cancel games?
Yeah, I think I think the season will be okay. They had to, not doing a bubble, they had to know like this was going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
So for them to kind of, I think there's a bit of an overreaction. I mean, I understand, we're just a couple games in, but I don't think it'll be a huge deal just because like they should be ready for, some guys are going to get COVID. They've got the taxi squads ready. Just keep playing. That's what we're going to have to, if we want baseball, we're going to have to deal with it. So there's not a big risk to the players, of course, because they're healthy guys and it's not usually a problem for, middle-aged athletic people so I think the season will be okay, but watch us, do really well, go to the playoffs, and season's canceled, of course.
The Padres all get infected with COVID.
Yeah, right as we're going to the World Series or something.
Yeah. It'll be interesting for sure. Matt, what are your thoughts on that?
I think I agree with Caleb, but it's interesting because the Marlins are going to have to, make up these games. And it's like if no one else gets sick, they're going to have just an extra week of us watching the Marlins.
Yeah, I mean, I heard some people talking about it, like ESPN baseball analysts, and they were like, one guy was even like, he was like, yeah, the Marlins aren't going to be a playoff team, so no one's really like too worried about it.
Yeah,
so I was like,
honestly, just
it's fine. Like,
well,
imagine
okay.
Imagine it's like half your team just, you guys all just recovered from COVID. Congratulations. Now you have to go out and play 9 doubleheaders in a row.
Wait till midnight.
Against the Yankees.
Yeah. They're just standing there watching every pitch go by. Like, I don't even want to be here.
It's not worth it.
Oh, yeah. I don't think the season will get canceled. I think it'll be fine.
Do you guys think the 16 game or the 16 team playoffs, there's going to be a lot of underdogs? Or do you think it's going to be pretty true?
Oh, yeah. I think so. That's why I have the Phillies in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said with injuries too. If one team like loses 2 big players, then all of a sudden, and another team just gets hot, has a 20-game stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Like we said, the Nats started 19-31. That's 50 games.
They wouldn't have even made the playoffs probably if we had a 60 game.
They wouldn't even been 500. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see.
I mean, it's clearly about underdogs because Caleb has the Reds as second in the National League Central. So it's, I mean, clearly we're not talking about the best teams in baseball if this is true.
Man. We're already fiery, and we're about to get into our favorite segment. Yeah, speaking of which, let's transition. Right now, we're headed into double dipping.
All right. Well, speaking of getting all fiery, we're going to head into double dipping, which is our hot take segment. Matt is sticking around for it, but we're going to wait to get to Matt because Caleb's always cooking up something over there. Caleb, I have no idea what it is every single week, but there is some pot over there that you just pour some stuff in, and it turns out into something, dude. I don't know what it is, but you put some type of special sauce. All right, I'll stop using analogies. But what hot take you got over there?
Hot take is we're all excited about baseball. We're excited about basketball. But my hot take is going to take us to football, actually, which is coming up. And this is just triggered by kind of some things I've seen a little bit on social media here and there, some lists, rankings. And I want to set the record straight. It is a homer pick. But I have to say, Aaron Rodgers is going into the 2020 season. Hopefully it happens. But anyways, Rodgers is still a top 5 quarterback. Maybe even top 3. Yep. The way I'd say it too is if I didn't go to this level, if I were to just one quarterback, any quarterback for a playoff game right now, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers. And so I know that's a lot to say, but there's been a lot of disrespect for Rodgers over the past couple years. A lot from Skip Bayless, other guys. About a decline.
What? Why would you taint the podcast with that man's name?
What?
Why would you taint the podcast by mentioning his name?
I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to fix it a little bit. No, I just want to reveal a couple stats here. Has there been a drop-off in Rodgers' play? Maybe a little bit from prime Rodgers, almost surely. But I just want to say over the past 2 years, combined, Aaron Rodgers' touchdown to interception ratio, 51-6. That's pretty insane. He's thrown for over 4,000 yards both years. In fact, in 2018, so 2 years ago, talking about a big drop-off, he actually, maybe not so much, he threw for 277 yards per game, which was third highest of his career. And so last year he didn't throw for as many, but he had a better run game. And also he led the team to a 13-3 record, so they had more leads, didn't have to throw the ball as often. So I just want to say that Rodgers may have dropped off a little bit, but I've seen way too much disrespect, even him being left out of top 10 lists, which is ridiculous. He's a top 5, definitely maybe a top 3 quarterback right now. If only we could get him a little more receiver help. We have Devontae, but Devin Funchess just opted out of the season. So I don't know. It's not looking great, but the talent is there. And he's got the experience. He played well in the playoffs. And so I'm still confident with him as our QB. So it's my hot take.
I have a question, Mr. Caleb.
Here we go.
How you feel about Jordan Love?
Who?
First round quarterback pick. Think the Packers.
I don't know what you're talking about. Well, we'll see what goes down. Jordan Love. I mean, there's no reason to even consider starting Jordan Love over Rodgers. But yeah, that's an interesting move. You'd think we haven't drafted Rodgers a weapon like a wide receiver in the first round a single year he's been with us, and then the first time now we draft a backup QB. So I don't know. We've only gotten one Super Bowl out of Rodgers, and that's
how do you feel Rodgers' relationship with your head coaches?
I think it's good.
That was not confident at all. That was
well. What would make you say it's bad? Because I think it's good because of the season and what I could tell from the chemistry between them.
Chemistry? I don't know about chemistry.
13-3.
Yeah, but get the brakes blown off in the NFC Championship game.
You know what I see?
That's not our offense.
I mean, he's still a head coach.
The Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love thing is basically, and I'm not comparing Aaron Rodgers to Alex Smith, but I'm thinking of the age and the kind of injury prone is going to be the Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes kind of hand down. That's what I'm projecting. What do you think, AJ? I know Caleb doesn't like that, but that's what I see. Well, I mean, why else would they draft a first round QB?
Caleb, how do you feel that Matt just compared Aaron Rodgers to Alex Smith?
I compared the transition. I'm comparing the transition to that.
No, but Caleb, let's stop getting off on rabbit trails here. How do you actually feel about your head coach?
I like our head coach.
Okay.
So that's 13-3. Obviously, it seems like McCarthy was a problem. We go 6-9-1 with McCarthy, then 13-3 with LaFleur. There's no problem.
You feel like him and Rodgers are tight.
This is like this big thing. Everyone wants there to be a problem between these guys. Like we haven't seen anything that would. Yes, they drafted Jordan Love, but that's not like LaFleur saying. It's not LaFleur saying, "Oh, I don't like Aaron Rodgers." Dude, they went to the NFC Championship game. Like, you think he's like?
No, I agree with you. I'm just trying to get you to kind of like maybe admit some stuff that's like going on in the woodwork.
Well, how do you know what's going on though? That's what the media.
They drafted Jordan Love. Like, come on, dude. Like, you don't just do that on accident.
Yeah, so because they drafted Jordan Love, that means LaFleur and Rodgers have a bad relationship. Like,
does it mean that they don't?
The thing is, we can't know it all, so why even speculate? Like, we'll see when the season comes.
Because it's a hot take, Caleb.
It is a hot take. It's true. Here's
behind the hot take, not just the random.
Before we get to Matt's hot take, here's something that I've heard kind of in the woodwork of Aaron Rodgers being a quarterback in the NFL is that he's a great quarterback, he's a great leader, but at some moments, at some points, he goes his own direction. in terms of play
See
calls.
that when you're the best football mind in the entire stadium. I can see that.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I'm just saying, at what cost is that going to cause you a draft pick, cause you team around you?
I can see it. It's potentially what LaFleur wants is, I want a guy who can just fit into a system well and just kind of be a system. I want to be run heavy, have a system sort of, and I can see how maybe that's possible, but we don't know. It's all speculation, so kind of why even really speculate? So I don't know. I'm a Rodgers.
I had to get some more fire out of you because we agreed with the top 3 Aaron Rodgers things. So I was like, I just got to bring up something to kind of get his juices flowing a little more.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for these next 2. Matt, you're up, I think. What do you got for us?
Come on. What do you got, special guest?
AJ, I don't know. You might want to plug your ears on this one, or you might want to already start standing up. And this is something that I talked to Caleb about. I just came to my head like a month ago or something. And I think that – and I kind of tweaked it, Caleb, but I think that Lamar Jackson is a better QB than Patrick Mahomes. Projectability too, long term. I think Lamar Jackson is.
I'm not even gonna stand up and be upset at that. You don't believe that. There's no way you believe
Caleb,
that.
I want to know what Caleb thinks. And my reasoning is they had Lamar Jackson had a better.
Hold on, real quick. You could pick another quarterback, and I wouldn't laugh as hard. The fact you pick Lamar Jackson, I'm dead.
Nathan Peterman. No, I was kidding.
I'm dead. The fact you pick Lamar Jackson of anybody else. If you pick Deshaun Watson, I'd be like, he's a great Lamar Jackson? Are you
also
serious?
Going on projectability. Lamar got so much better between his rookie season and last year. He learned how to throw a spiral, basically.
Good job, Lamar Jackson. I mean, should we say ovation for Lamar Jackson?
He had a better completion.
What should we do here?
He had a better completion percentage than Mahomes last year.
Oh, man. Again, Lamar Jackson,
that's pretty good.
Congratulations.
Caleb,
what did it do for him? What did it do for him, Matt? Tell him what it did for him.
I think what I need to see from Lamar is playoff success.
Yeah.
Because both times he's laid an egg in the playoffs. And it's kind of, I think they're hard they're hard players to compare. Yes, they both do play quarterback, but Rodgers, sorry, Mahomes is just the arm, and Lamar's got the legs. That's the thing is, in a sense, in one sense, in terms of just regular season, I mean, Lamar was MVP. Might be the best regular season quarterback of anyone. But I can't.
Last season or ever?
No, last season. Well, like right now, in terms of going forward right now. But
in the in the regular season, he's the best quarterback?
Yeah, well, he was last year and potentially going forward.
1 year.
I know, but just last year, and so because you kind of have to go off the past year.
No, you said regular season. You didn't say last season.
Let me finish. So regular season, I'd say I can.
Oh my gosh!
No way.
If your camera pauses one more time, I'm coming through the screen, Caleb. We've lost all contact with Caleb. He probably was going to say something that was
Oh, here he is.
I'm back. Okay.
I mean, you were probably going to say something that wasn't even. It probably paused for a good reason. But go ahead.
Sorry. What I was saying though is, so regular season I can get behind, but the thing is, I'm not totally sold on Lamar's arm, and you have to have an arm. So
Caleb, did you see his arm from his rookie season to last year?
That's true. Big improvement.
Like huge improvement, night and day.
But
huge improvement for who though?
I think Caleb pointed it out. Mahomes has the arm. He has the flashy sidearm shortstop throw that he can hit on a dime. Lamar has the wheels for sure that Mahomes doesn't have, and Lamar also is getting an arm. Mahomes isn't going to be able to cut and run like Lamar ever. He can work out all he wants. It's never going to work. I think Lamar.
I was afraid about to say something else, but go ahead. No,
I think Lamar, as he gets an arm, I think down the road, I think he has a better future than Mahomes.
How though? Like, besides Lamar Jackson being a better quarterback, what other reasons do you have?
I'm just saying between the two quarterbacks. I'm not.
I know that's what I'm saying too. I'm not saying that makes no sense.
AJ,
he has two tools. Mahomes has one. That's what I'm saying.
What? Mahomes is
said it
mobile,
too.
though. Mahomes is mobile.
He's mobile, but is he
doesn't have to
a
have
running back?
Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson speed to be the best quarterback ever.
It would
He
help.
can throw a ball 80 yards, Matt. 80 yards.
That's good, but I don't know.
Best regular season ever, dude. 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards.
AJ, and
Lamar rushed
just because we're on the topic, AJ, what do you have to say about the well, honestly, a little bit of a drop off from the last year for Mahomes. Now, I know he was injured a little bit, but you look at he went from 50 touchdowns in 16 starts to 26 touchdowns in 14 starts.
Yeah. And?
So, I'm just saying, do you have anything?
I mean, you know, when you have the best season and your first season under center in the history of the NFL, it's going to be kind of hard to top that or to come close to it. So, I mean, 26 touchdowns isn't a huge drop off for me. I think he still played decent.
Just want to hear. I want you to say that's the best quarterback season ever.
It's up there. It's top 5, easy.
Top 5 could be top 5. Yeah,
easy.
Well, I will one plus. I think that about Mahomes is he just became part owner with the Royals. I like.
What can't he do, dude?
I like how he established himself in Kansas City. Like he's like the guy. Like everyone in Kansas City.
He's the guy. He's not leaving. I love it. He's not leaving.
Yeah.
Not going to leave.
We'll see what happens.
No.
Lamar
I'm sorry,
is much
Matt.
better.
There's no way anybody in the right mind can say Lamar Jackson's have a better career than Patrick Mahomes.
We'll see.
Better career?
So much of it depends on the weapons. So much of it depends on the team. Because right now, you have –
some people – hold on. Some people, not me, some people would say the Ravens have a better roster than the Chiefs. What did it do for them?
Not a better offense outside of – no, not a better offense.
No, not at all.
I would say a better roster, but –
yeah, overall roster maybe. But just
I don't say that. I say the Chiefs is better.
I think the Chiefs have a better roster too.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes right now has more weapons than any other quarterback. I'd probably say.
Yeah,
that's kind of what he does. But if he loses those weapons, and it'd be interesting to kind of then compare them. So, again, Mahomes is still going to be Mahomes. He's still going to be amazing. But I'm just saying, like, it'll be a different story maybe then.
I mean, 2 seasons, y'all. I mean, look at what he's done in his first 2 seasons in the NFL. I mean, and just think about what he's going to do in the next 10 years. I mean, please, come on. We're smarter than this. Anyways, let's let me kind of give my hot take. I'm trying to laugh already. Matt, I'm honestly curious. Matt, I'm more curious to see your reaction to Caleb's reaction because I don't know like what your like thoughts are on this whatsoever.
Okay.
But I know Caleb's because Caleb and I have actually been talking about it very recently. My hot take is I'm dying over here already. Is that when you're cheering for professional sports, it's not wrong. It's not wrong if outside of a team you're diehard for, obviously. Outside of that, it's not wrong to have another team that you enjoy watching. Another team that you are cheering for, and here's why.
No, what he means is a second favorite
team.
Here's why. No, here's why.
Baloney.
Second favorite team is not the phraseology of it because your favorite team is your favorite team. This is called a second team.
No, it's not your favorite team. It's your team. You should have one team.
No, and then you have a third favorite team.
No, so here is some of the backing up I have for this. Think about the way you watch sports. Matt, Caleb, people listening, watching. Think about when you watch sports as a sports fan. And this is only for people who are diehard fans of teams. Just think about this. I am one. You guys are one. Diehard fans of teams. Think about this. When you watch sports, what do you watch? You watch your team, you watch highlights of other teams, and you watch important games. I think that sums up a lot of what we watch as sports fans, correct? I mean, that pretty much sums it up. Can I get a response on that?
So do you have a second favorite team that you like to watch for baseball? So other
hold on, no. You're already jumping ahead. Hold on. Let me kind of get there. We're gonna get there in a second. But so think about those 3 categories by themselves, okay? Within those 3 categories, your favorite team is going to follow that. So when you watch highlights of another team, you're going to say, oh, yeah, that was a great play, or that team's really good. But you're not going to think, oh, man, I'm going to start, buying gear. I'm going to start doing all this different stuff. I'm going to start polling for this team. However, what I'm proposing with my hot take is that this changes the way you look at sports and to actually enjoying sports more, and here's why. When you have another team that is not a team that you follow closely, it's not a team that you're keeping up to date with daily like you do with your favorite team that you're diehard for. When you have another team where it's maybe a player, maybe it's a style of play, whatever, that you enjoy watching. I'm going to keep using that phrase. It's not that you are fans of this team. You enjoy watching their style. You enjoy watching these players, all this different stuff. It changes the way you look at sports when you say, you know what, like, I want to see that team do well, but I don't really care if they do well because I have my team. And especially when it's a team outside of your conference. So let's look at each sport. MLB. So we both have National League teams. So if you think about an American League team, I've already talked about the A's a little bit. The A's are not my second favorite team. The A's are a team I enjoy watching in the AL. Guess why? The A's are an AL team. The Cardinals don't have a problem with the A's. The A's haven't been good in a while. The Cardinals have never had to play the A's in an important game. There's no animosity there. It'd be one thing if I said, oh, I really enjoy watching the Dodgers. Or, oh, I really enjoy watching the Cubs. You guys would call me nuts. But if you look at AL teams, if you look at other teams outside of your conference, you say, you know what? I don't have a problem with that team. I enjoy watching them. They're fun to watch. But they're not my second favorite team. They're a team I enjoy watching more than other teams. That's I think, the way that you look at it. Thoughts so far? What are your thoughts so far?
Listen, I literally don't even disagree with any of what you said. But you're changing what we talked about previously. Where, of course, I don't have – there's a small problem I have with it. But – and it's okay. What we've talked about previously, I think was very clearly second favorite team type of talk. Now, again, I have players I enjoy watching, guys like Mike Trout. Like, cool. Yeah. The Padres haven't been in the playoffs for like 15 years. So a lot of times I'll be like –
Hold on, and I'm going to touch on that in a second. So don't go too far with that. I'm going to touch on that in a second.
But the difference is this stemmed from something else where someone we both know, was kind of had two MLB teams and had gear for both of those teams. and you're defending that. And that's where I have the problem of if you're to the point of like if you have
I'm not finished yet. I was just allowing thoughts to come with the first part of it. But Matt, any thoughts so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so Caleb is saying that you guys know someone that has two MLB teams that they like?
Yes.
And I find that strange. I would say it's not right. It's like you're cheating on your main team, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
I do agree with everything you were saying is that it does make sports more exciting when you're like, oh, I'm watching the A's.
Okay. So let me
because I like to watch the Rays. I like to watch the Rays. I think they're an interesting team.
Yeah.
Tropicana, the worst stadium ever. Lowest payroll. Doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very interesting to me.
Okay, so let me hit like the second stage of this. And I know you guys are probably already sick and tired of this, but hold out for just a second. And I want to kind of bring you guys into this. Okay, so I want to clarify just again that a second team that you have is not and cannot be your favorite team. They can't. They can't take the place of it. They can't take the drama behind it. They can't take any of the emotion of what your favorite team is that you grew up with. I mean, we all grew up with a team. There's nothing that can take away from that. You can't choose that. You can't pick that. It's something you're either born with, like as a lifestyle, or it's something that like very early on in your life you build in terms of your favorite team. But again, just think about a favorite player, favorite style of play, all this different stuff. That's okay to enjoy. It's not wrong to say, man, I really enjoy watching that player. I really enjoy watching that team. Again, just to clarify all those different things. The only exception, and Matt's going to hear me on this and Caleb is not. The only exception to this is college sports, and here's why. The exception to this is college sports because of the loyalty behind college sports and because of the fandom behind college sports, okay? So college sports is one of the best, in terms of college football and college basketball I'm thinking of specifically, are some of the best environments to be a fan of in all of sports. Okay, the loyalty is different. The games are different. The fan bases are more intense across the board for colleges. Across the board. I mean, there's no discussion. Professional sports are great. Professional sports are great. Professional teams, fan bases, I mean, you get excited for a great game. But when you think about game day, when you think about college teams and you think about student sections and you think about living on campus, you think about being a fan of that team, you can't choose another team. You can't say, oh, I want to see this team do well. You can't say, oh, I want to, see if this team will go farther than us and see if we can meet them at the top of the championship game. You can't say that about college sports. And the reason you can about professional sports is because the loyalty is different. The loyalty is different.
Why though? Why is it different? Why is it different? It shouldn't be different.
Hold on. I'm about to say why. The loyalty is different because when you think about professional sports, in a sense, and this is not in the full sense, in a sense, you have to choose that. Okay? In a sense, you have to choose that. In a sense. With college sports, you might have a parent who is an alumni. You might live in that same city, which I'm going to touch on in just a second. Or you might grow up in a town, in an environment where that's all there is. When you think about professional sports, what's that?
Let me back you up here.
Okay.
With professional sports, you have favorite players that are just traded, just like that. Hunter Renfrow, I love him, and then bye, poof, he's gone. With college sports, unless they transfer, which is kind of rare, they're there the whole ride, all their 4 years, and you kind of you definitely grow an attachment, and they're loyal to the school. With professional sports, it's like, a lot of the guys, get traded just that you love. Adrian Gonzalez, we loved him as a kid. Remember, we had posters.
Yeah, but the thing is,
and then Adrian said, "Bye, let's go to the Dodgers."
When these guys get traded, like Hunter Renfrow, I have no attachment to Hunter Renfrow. Yes, I liked him as a player. I love what he did, but now that he's not a Padre, if he comes into Petco, I hope he goes 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts.
Question. Huh. Keep that same energy. What if Aaron Rodgers, Fernando Tatis Jr., or Devontae Adams played for a different team?
That's good.
If they played for – so let's say Aaron Rodgers or Tatis, because, Tatis goes to a different team.
Yeah.
I would like him as a player, definitely, the way I like Mike Trout, and I'd hope he does well. I hope he does well, and then he plays the Padres 0 for 5 Ks. I hope.
You sure about that?
Yes,
we just talked about him being our child.
I'm 100% sure about that. If you're unsure about that, then we're different sorts of fans.
So the very next season. So God forbid this happens.
Because I'm a Padres fan. I'm not a fan of the players. Well, I mean, they go together.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying, keep that same energy. College sports, I love what Matt brought up. College sports is different because you have a guy who's there his freshman year, and by his senior year, he is a hometown hero sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, he's not just sometimes, within the college, he's a hometown hero. And here's a perfect example because it applies to me. I grew up in Central Iowa, a state where there is no professional sports. College and high school sports are all we have. And Iowa State is one of the best college football rivalries in all of college football, no cap. I mean, over 100 years of this game within state rivals. Okay? It's different. It's different. It's a different environment when you don't have the distraction sometimes of professional sports. If you're in a state with professional sports, they take a lot of the attention away from college sports. And Caleb, honestly, I'm not trying to take a shot at you. Honestly, I think that's why you didn't have a college team growing up. Because you grew up in San Diego and you grew up in Wisconsin. And it was Packers and Padres. And that was it. And when you don't have the allure of growing up in a place where Iowa State was the talk of the town all year. And if you lost that game, it doesn't matter if you go undefeated. You have to win that game. The loyalty is different. The fan bases are different. Think about a night game in a college stadium versus a night game in a professional stadium. It's different. It's a different environment.
AJ,
it might be a little different for you because you didn't grow up in any of the places where your professional teams are from.
Well, right. That's true.
So it's different when someone's picking teams, like maybe you did. I didn't ever pick teams.
Right.
I grew up a Packers fan, and that's where I have a little bit of I grew up in San Diego, and so I'm a Padres fan. There was no moment in my life where I'm picking my teams. And so that's where they're a part of me. Like, I'll never not be. And that's where I have a little bit of a disagreement. Like, if you grow up in Wisconsin, if you grow up in Green Bay, I mean, you're a Packers fan. So I'd say there's a little bit of that, like, if you want to call it the college feel there. So I'd say, I disagree a little bit there. Go ahead.
You lived in Wisconsin for a little bit. So let me
I
just
did not
ask you
actually
this.
didn't. It's just both my parents grew up Packers fans, so I never had
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because you grew up in San Diego, but you're a diehard Packers fan because your parents lived in Wisconsin, all different stuff. What would be wrong? And again, I'm not saying you have to do this, but what would be wrong if you cheered for Wisconsin?
Oh, the college team, Wisconsin?
Yeah, like if you cheered for Wisconsin football, who's great, or Wisconsin basketball, who's a pretty decent team. What would be wrong with that? Why do you have such a offense to doing that? I guess
nothing would be wrong with that, but that's the thing is because I didn't grow up with that team, and because of my devotion to.
But you didn't grow up with the Packers necessarily, because your parents lived in Wisconsin.
Well, my parents weren't Wisconsin fans. I mean, they were into pro sports, so I grew up in pro sports. So I could have added, but my perspective is I can't just add teams. I can't become a new team because I didn't grow up with them. Because with my teams, it's as long as I can remember, they've been my teams, and they're my only teams, and it's always going to be that way, and I'm fine with that.
Okay. So let's get back to the main point of the argument, though, and that's that in terms of having a team that, and I'll just phrase it this way, having a team that you can check in on where you're not a fan of that team, where you can see how that team's doing because of those players or because of the allure that team has, especially in professional sports. In fact, specifically in professional sports, I don't think that's wrong. I do it with the A's. I do it with sometimes even the Lions, or not, and I'm not just doing this to take a shot at you, Caleb, the Vikings, because I grew up in the Midwest. I don't just do that just because the Packers, I've started to develop a love for the Packers a little bit. They're not my favorite.
See, that phrase itself, to develop a love for another team, that just sounds so wrong to me.
AJ,
put that into college. Imagine, I'd started to develop a love for some insert college football team. That just sounds so wrong to me. And I know
it doesn't. It actually doesn't. You don't have a college team you cheer for.
You need one.
Yeah, you don't have a
college
college
team. If you were to say that, I've started to develop a love for insert college team. And I know you said it's different for college.
The comparison's different, though. You can't.
No, but that's where I say why. That's where I say why is it different? You're almost making the point for me, I think, because you're saying the level of devotion and loyalty is less in pro sports. It's not. I mean, I don't understand why or how. I think that the highest tier of fans in pro sports is going to be the same. Maybe overall it's more intense in college, but in terms of the upper tier of pro sports, it's going to be the same as the upper tier. I think playoff atmosphere in pro is not going to be that different than playoff atmosphere or whatever in college.
I'm not saying fans are less passionate as pro sports. Matt, jump in here.
I think what AJ's saying is the passion that even the players have behind the college football team. The passion that the players have and the years they've put in there. And I think you do have that in professional sports. The years they've put in there, that they invest their time and so much time into the team. But in college sports, it's like you say, they're I feel like they're even just more passionate because they're not going anywhere. They're in what is it in the Nationals? Rendon won the World Series, and then the next year he's on the Angels.
He's gone.
He might have gotten MVP of the World Series or something.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and then now he's on the Angels. It's like, what? You don't see that in college sports at all.
Well, yeah, and I don't disagree with that, but I don't understand how that changes it as a fan. Why is the loyalty any different? Because
you get new uninvested players that just get signed on at random and are just playing with your team's jersey.
You see it as it's just your team, Caleb. The players, in some extent, if they're not a franchise player, see it as this is how I'm making money.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the truth. That's why college sports is more intense, because there's not the temptation of money. You're just playing for your school.
That either.
I mean, it's both the same in terms of the better you perform, the more likely you are. I mean, in college, there is the ultimate goal of money. There's not the immediate. But I'm not thinking that's really affecting. That's not really affecting the play in terms of guys. Guys are still. You see guys in the playoffs very passionate for their team. It's not that they don't care if they win or lose. I'm not saying what.
Does it affect it in the NBA?
I think it's not really, no. You think the guys are playing?
I think money plays a huge factor in the NBA.
Well, I mean, it plays a factor. Obviously, money is a huge factor of sports. And I do think it is more like the players are probably more passionate in college, but it's not like the game's different just because of that. Like,
no,
like,
we're not. No, we're not talking about the game. We're talking about the environment based on what the
so
team
the fan
is.
environment.
Yes.
And that's where I think like the top level like playoff environments in the pros is not really different than your top level.
Think about playoffs for a second, though. Think about a regular game.
Yeah, well, yeah, a regular season game is more intense in college in terms of that environment.
Okay.
So how does that change?
That's what I'm saying.
How does that relate to second favorite team then?
Well, it relates because if when you think about professional teams, it's a lot easier to say I'm going to check in on this team because I love my team. I love my professional teams, but I don't have the commitment I would to a college team where I'm saying, man, if I cheer for anybody else, this feels weird.
And I have that level of commitment. So that's where it feels weird to me.
If I pull for anybody else, if I want to see anybody else do well, it feels weird. And again, to your point, maybe it's because I grew up in a state where there was no professional teams, and you did. Like maybe that's what it is. What I'm also saying is that you also don't have a favorite college team. So it's easy for you to say, well, I mean, the atmosphere is the same because you haven't experienced a March Madness game with one of your favorite teams. You haven't experienced a bowl game with with a college football team where it's just the bowl game. That's the end of your season. There's no playoffs after that.
Which is also why college football is kind of interesting because
we're not going to get caught on that rant, but unbelievable.
But dude, like a playoff game for me is going to be the same. You know, like I'm fully 100% a fan and devoted to my teams. It's not
right.
Like,
no, I'm not saying
right.
You're less devoted. I'm saying my point is in bringing in the college sphere, it's easier to say I want to see this team do well in professional sports than to say I want to see this team do well in college. That's one of the points I was trying to make. It's easier to say that for me.
Okay, so I guess I understand that. I guess it's just different for me. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and that's like because of the different spheres, I think. But like that's the hot take I want to make is that in professional sports specifically, because of the points Matt's already mentioned too, which are good points, so just the fluctuation and all this different stuff. To find a player or to find like a team that has no connection, like no rivalry, no like bad blood whatsoever, and to be like, man, if they do well, cool. If they don't, cool. Like where it doesn't bother you either way.
AJ,
where you're not going to be like frustrated, you know?
Would you? Okay, so you are taking a nice vacation to Oakland, California, and you go to an A's game. And
that stadium's disgusting, but okay.
It's beautiful, the Coliseum. Would you go as far as getting a hat or something?
Yeah, I'd get a hat.
Really?
Yeah.
Caleb, what do you think about that?
It's not like it's different for me if like I was in Milwaukee or if I'm in Chicago. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. When I'm in Oakland, California, going to a game of an AL team, like, so what? I'm not going to get a Matt Chapman jersey and divisional winner T-shirts all of a sudden.
That's where it drops
spend money on gear for a different team. That's messed up.
Oh, yeah.
Messed up.
Right now, I'm ordering my Rays jersey right now.
Oh my goodness!
Booking a ticket to the Trop.
That's so wrong.
I don't know. Maybe I'm off the rocker for that. But our buddy Caleb that we know, he has a Yankees hat. I don't have a problem with that. He's got a Yankees hat.
I got a problem with it because he's not a Yankee. His main team is not the Yankees.
Here's the last point I want to make.
I don't know how you
the Red Sox.
Say, well, he likes the Red Sox. No, I don't know. I just don't know how you can like. And it sounds to me like you're saying you have a different level of devotion to your college teams and your pro teams.
100%. Oh, it's
yeah.
easy.
So that's what I'm saying. Is my level like I have that probably level that you have to your college team is kind of where I feel like for me it's unthinkable to like be like, oh yeah, this is my second team, or I have the hat for this team because I kind of like it. Like, no, it's like your team and everyone else is against your team.
Yeah. Well, and here's the last point I'll make, and this kind of closes the discussion. To have, if you end up wanting to cheer for a team, and Caleb, you mentioned this a little bit, when your team doesn't make the playoffs and you find a team, I find that appalling because that's called being a bandwagon. And that doesn't fly in terms of, oh, I'm just going to cheer for this team just because my team's not in it. If you're going to do that, if you're going to do that and say, oh, I'm cheering for this team, then what's wrong with saying I'm going to have a second team during the whole year?
No, this is the difference.
That's what I want to make. Why not watch the playoffs like I'm going to with the NBA this year and be like, I don't care who wins. It'd be cool to see the Lakers win, but I don't care who wins.
Well,
if you ever say, I want this team to win because my team's not in it, what is the difference between saying that and saying during the year I'll check in on this team to see if they're doing well?
Because this is what I've done before. And I will say I haven't even done this recently because I'm more like kind of the way I think of it too is if you have a second favorite team, like being devoted to a team is, having, finding joy when you win and suffering when you lose. And if you're trying to find another team to get a way out of that suffering, then you're not sticking with the team when they lose, which is
right. But you've claimed to do that, not me.
No, but what I was saying was when I've done it in the past, it's been like this. Okay, MLB playoffs are coming up. Yeah. I look at all the teams that are in it and like, okay, it'd be fun. Like you said, I don't have a problem with enjoying watching other teams. Got no problem with that. Like, so I just look, okay, who do I want to win? And then so it'd be like, okay, not the Dodgers, not these teams. I eliminate all the teams I don't want. And then I pick I try and find the biggest underdog and say, okay, I think it'd be cool if they won. Like the Indians. I was like, Indians, they hadn't won in a really long time. I already didn't like the Cubs. I know the Cubs hadn't won in 100 years. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I don't like the Cubs, and the Indians haven't won in 60 years, so it'd be cool, cool if I'll cheer for the Indians. What that isn't is every time the playoffs come, I'm cheering for the Indians. It's a different team every time because I have no devotion to the actual team. Because if it's the same team every time, then all of a sudden I'm sticking with the team. I stick with no other teams. But sometimes like, okay, I want this team to lose, usually because I just dislike every other team. Or who's the biggest underdog, because I want to see an underdog story.
Okay.
In my case, when you guys on a different podcast were talking about watching the Dodgers and the Cardinals play, and Caleb, you were a Cardinals fan, right? Like you found.
I wouldn't say Cardinals fan. No, I root like for the Cardinals because I don't want the Dodgers to win.
Yeah. But
you would have
while you were watching
anybody.
the game, you wanted them to win, and you were rooting for them basically.
Yes.
I mean, we both went nuts on the Matt Adams home run, did we not?
Yeah, I don't remember it very well, but probably.
Yeah.
Nice answer.
We both blacked out, yeah.
Probably. It wasn't that cool. Oh, man.
Yeah, but
So I got no problem with that, but usually for me, it's because I want a specific team to lose. I'm trying to not hate on the Dodgers as much because, I've got Dodger fans, family that listen to this. I feel bad every time.
Stop being soft about
Caleb's
it.
Dodgers hat comes in tomorrow.
Guys, let us know, those watching and listening, let us know if you guys want Caleb to go on an NL West rant at some point. I've told him he needs to because he's got some stuff bubbling and boiling over there that he doesn't want to share for certain reasons. But we'll talk about that at some other point.
Also, the next time I come back, I'm going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, Matt's already getting fiery.
I'm going to go Al Smith.
Who was a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. So
yeah.
We'll see how that turns out. But we want to thank Matt for coming on. It's been a good time of having him on the podcast. Make sure you guys give him some love in the comments. Comment what other things you guys are wanting to hear from us in terms of sports opinions or things like that. But we'll be continuing to put this out as school gets going here soon. So Matt, we thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for coming on, Matt. It's fun to have you.
Thank you.
It's been good to see you. So until we see you guys next time, I'm Caldwell.
I'm Caleb.
We'll talk to you guys later. God bless.